22 Jump Street. 2020, no, 2014. Okay, good start. Just like the movie. When a newer and potentially lethalier drug has surfaced, two terrible cops have given more money to once again go deeper undercover than they ever have before. This time as college students. They must find twice the amount of badder guys and gals and stop them at any and all costs before the drugs spread to even more streets. I don't know what I'm even saying anymore.
Completely overrated.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Our Rating, the show where I get together with two of my friends. We talk about a movie franchise, break it down into individual movies, give it an overall score, and then throw it back on the board to see where it lands compared to the other movie franchises. Today, we are joined once again by Will and Brian. Will, you've been away the last couple of weeks. How are you doing? Did you have a good trip?
Yeah, good trip. Happy to be back. My apologies for my video entries. It's the best I could do.
No, they were good. They were point across. And last week, I don't know if you saw the episode. We had you there anyways, just on screen. So like the camera positioning made sense, and
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was there in spirit and in freeze frame.
Yeah,
I actually kind of liked that Will's video would come in after the fact, us not knowing anything about his take on it, and then like pairing that to what Dan and I talked about. That was kind of fun for a change.
Yeah, agreed. Usually we don't talk about these things behind the scenes, so that's why having Will not even knowing what he was saying, like I didn't watch the video until literally it was airing live, was really cool. This week we've talked a little bit. I think we all have kind of an idea of where we're coming in on this one. Brian, how are you doing this week?
I'm great. As you know, I just finished up a little field trip with my son, and it was a wonderful day. So I'm super pumped. I got lots of energy today, which is good because this movie talking about it's probably going to take me down a peg or two.
Fair enough. Now, I have to throw this out there. Will, I'm sure I know your answer. Brian, is this the first time you've seen 22 Jump Street?
No. I had seen the first half of 22 Jump Street before and turned it off in the middle because I didn't want to have to go through it. And then you guys made me watch the whole damn thing.
Whoa.
And Will, I'm assuming pretty much the same for you. You had to be forced to watch this one?
I must say, I think Brian is the most I've ever heard of somebody watching half movies or movies in intervals. I can't believe how weird this guy watches movies. But to answer your question, yes, this is the first and last time I will ever watch this movie.
That's totally fair.
My time is valuable to me, Will. If you haven't hooked me through half the film, man, that's a bad film. I give it the rest of my day. No way.
That's fair. That's fair. I agree with Will though. Like I don't know how you watch movies. Like you've said a couple of times, you're like, I watch this in 5-minute increments. I'm like, I don't know how you can even do that. Like that seems mind-numbing to me. But sure,
just rocking that hardcore ADD, man. That's all.
Yeah. It's just in TikTok for me.
Yeah, I gotta scroll through the scenes.
Not even in order, just 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Yeah, that was 2 hours worth. We're good.
I think I can piece it together.
All right. I will say this is my third time watching this one. So clearly I am on the opposite side of the spectrum for these two guys. And I'm very curious in a second to get to Will or Brian's comments, my apologies, because we were both fairly positive on last week's episode. And for me, this movie brings a lot of the same. It's got a lot of the same chemistry, a lot of the same actors, a lot of the same comedy. So I'm really curious, what is it about this film, Brian, that just left you so cold after enjoying last week? Will, you didn't enjoy last week's. I get if you don't enjoy this one. But Brian, why did this one leave you cold when the last one did work for you?
So though last week's got a decent grade, it wasn't like a stellar film as far as these go. I certainly wouldn't have made a sequel out of 21 Jump Street. I would have actually done what 22 Jump Street did at the end, which it made all those, 23, 24, 25, 2021 in space Jump Street, those digs. I just would have made that at the end of the first one, and I think we would have been fine. That would have been, I felt like this was a joke of itself. This was a joke of a joke. The first one made fun of itself because it was a reboot, and the second one makes fun of itself for being a sequel to a reboot. Like they just leaned into the same kind of jokes. And granted, they were funny in the first one, but they were getting a little tired this time. And they tended to push the two types of humor that I'm not as into. The really stupid humor and the really gross humor. I don't like that awkward, I'm doing something wrong and I can't stop doing it kind of stuff. I think maybe that only works with Steve Carell in The Office or like Parks and Rec maybe does a pretty decent job of that awkward kind of dumb humor. Yep. But they really leaned into it this time. And that was the parts that I didn't like in the last movie. They did still have the same chemistry and it was pretty funny, but I'd kind of already seen those jokes in the first one. So it was just more of the stuff I didn't like and not really anything new and fresh. And I just don't think that they needed to make this sequel.
Fair enough. Will, where do you land on this?
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of the opposite of Brian on this. I felt that this one amped it up more so, being like, hey, look at us joking about how silly this idea is of revamping a reboot. I thought they should have gone that far with the first one. Instead, they did it with this one, but I've already been turned off of the movie at this point. And to Brian's point, though, I also really enjoyed the end where it was like, here's all the other sequels we can make, because then they don't have to make them. And I never have to watch another one.
Yeah. I did really like the joke early on. I'd forgotten it. It's been a minute since I've seen these movies. Where they're like at 21 Jump Street. They're like, I can't believe they sold the church. Now we have to move it to this one. And it's like, yeah, before too long, we'll move it over to that one. Like 23 Jump Street. I was like, I don't know. That just got me. That was, I thought that was clever enough.
I did enjoy the fact that they made fun of themselves, because this was a stupid movie that shouldn't have happened. So at least they understand that. We had a little of that in the first one. We had more of it in this one. But those were the funniest parts for me, is when they were making fun of themselves in the movie. I think that, and I don't know why, but the bit about Schmidt sleeping with the captain's daughter,
yes,
when the captain realizes it, that one had me rolling. Ice Cube kicking over the shrimp table and stuff, just smashing stuff, cursing like a sailor, so mad, but he can't blow the cover. Like, that bit went on for a while, and then when Jaco or Jenko, whatever his name is,
Jenko
figures it out, his dumb self figures it out, and he's high-fiving everybody, he's laughing, and he's like, you high-five the captain for sleeping with his daughter. Like, it was, that joke kept going for me, and it was funny. I got to give that one credit. I don't know why that one was so funny. It was kind of the dumb humor too.
Yeah.
But damn, they nailed that one. I was laughing out loud hard for that one. That was a good bit.
That was one of the scenes where me and a couple fans were talking, like, before we even watched this one, was like, that was one of the things that stood out in my brain. Not necessarily him jumping around and kicking stuff over, but just like, after that, you kind of cut to him and he's just sitting there like, I can't possibly do it justice, but he's just got this look on his face. He's just staring at him like almost catatonic, but just like, I can't believe you of all people slept with my daughter.
Yeah.
Like, every time I watch this movie, I die at that. Like, just the look on Ice Cube's face is so priceless.
And it's weird when they go up to high five in the beginning and you don't know, right? And they high five, and then later they make fun of the fact that he high fived him for sleeping with his daughter, and it makes it that much funny. Like, okay, that's why there was that high five in there that seemed out of place. It was to pay off later, and it did pay off. So that was a funny bit, and they landed that one. I just thought
there was even just like a little bit of like an oven timer or something that went off as soon as Jenko clued into what happens, like a little ding, and he's like, "Oh, you slept with the guy!" Like, he just, like, he finally, the last horse finally crosses the finish line and gets where everybody else already is. Yeah. It's like amazing. I don't know. I think Channing Tatum's actually a pretty funny comedian, at least in these movies.
Yeah. I think the captain had some really good lines in there too. He's like, yeah, we spent all the money on this office. I'm wearing $700 shoes and you can't even see them. Like, he's obviously kind of like almost breaking the fourth wall. They're talking about the budget for the movie, not for the job that they're doing. And that was clever. It was kind of funny. I like that stuff.
I agree. This one I thought was more clever in some of the setups and executions than the first one. Whereas the first one kind of felt like, yeah, we're rebooting and these guys are idiots and they'll idiotically get it done. But like you said, the setup with the captain's daughter was good. Where it falls flat for me, and I'm just going to get hate from everybody as usual for this, is it was too Family Guy for me. You know, how they just ride the joke too long so it becomes not funny, and then they just keep going, and then it's supposed to become funny again. I've never fallen into that. I've never understood what makes it funny again when you just overreach on your jokes. You know, if you have a nice, clever
the prison
like
sequence
that,
was terrible like that. They just kept pressing that joke, and I was not laughing at all. I was because it was me and Windstorm in the watch party watching it, and I almost unmuted my mic and went like, "Hey, Windstorm, can I like skip 30 seconds ahead, please? Like, this is painful for me to watch." But Windstorm was having a good time. He really liked this film.
I don't love I think it's called comedic torture is what you're talking about, where they just like press a scene forever. Where like Peter's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like that whole scene. I didn't get that specifically from this movie personally, but maybe that's because I was enjoying some of the jokes. The prison scene, as incredibly stupid as it was, did kind of work for me. Like specifically the fact that like you've got Franco in the background, just like, please, dear God, get me out of here. Like you got to get me anywhere else.
I
thought that was actually pretty funny.
I think Franco's bit in that was pretty good, but it was ruined by his counterpart from the previous movie who had his dick shot off and kept talking about just getting gross. I don't even want to talk about it. It's so gross and disgusting. It wasn't funny to me. Franco was the redeeming factor in there, but I was hating what he was having to work with to make it funny. It just couldn't work.
You felt like Franco.
Yeah, I did. I felt like Franco.
I'll definitely agree Franco was the better part of the two there. Like I could have gone for I think it's the gym teacher being significantly toned down from what he was doing. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't chuckle or enjoy the scene to some extent. So
and we talk about this all the time. Humor is very subjective. There's lots of people that probably thought that was the best scene in the movie. It just wasn't for me. And that's fine. You know, I'm here to give my opinion, and if you don't like it, keep watching. I'll change my opinion for you because I'm a crowd pleaser.
One of the things that that started off working for me and didn't by the end was the whole movie is taking place in college, obviously. And Maya, the Ice Cube's daughter, has a roommate. And whenever they wake up in her room, essentially, she has a little back and forth with Jonah Hill. Mm-hmm. I thought those were hysterical when she was the roommate. And apparently that was all ad-libbed, and like they were saying like this was one of the few actresses that was giving it to Jonah as good as he could give it. Like they actually had a legit back and forth. I thought those were very funny. And then when she became the actual villain, I lost all taste for her whatsoever. And I was like,
I'm with you on that one.
You need to go away. Like you're way too much now. The fight scene between the two of them where they're like, are we going to kiss? Are we going to fuck? What's going on here? Apparently that was a one take improv scene, which I'll give them some props for doing that all in one take and not breaking character, and also did nothing for me.
Yeah,
like that was the scene where I'm like, we can go forward on this one.
Yeah, I think because it was improvised, you could tell that it didn't gel with the rest of like some of the cleverly written jokes and things. If there was like this weird love interest section, they could have actually put that in smarter. But because it was improvised, it just came across as awkward and kind of clunky throughout that entire sequence.
Yeah, I like the improv kind of stuff in movies when you know that the director is just letting them go.
Yeah.
And some of it makes them film. That's usually good stuff for me. I like that free-form improvisation kind of humor in film. But that scene didn't jive. I think I'm with Will on this. Yeah. Had there been some kind of writing to foreshadow this love interest kind of thing that they were going for, maybe. But even then, it just felt out of place and weird.
Yeah, very weird.
You could tell it was an improv scene. I could tell watching it. I was like, okay, they took this. They thought it was funny at the time, but it's just not for me.
For me, it's kind of like a practical effect almost, where like I'll give it more props knowing the artistry behind it. Right. Versus if I thought that was scripted and came out that poorly, I would hate it even more.
Right.
But they're coming up with it off the top of their head. I'll be like, okay, well done. Not for me, but well done. And
no,
like,
I agree.
You see
I agree.
Yeah.
It's you're witnessing natural talent, and maybe it wasn't meant for this movie, but they've got it.
Or they maybe just should have done a second take so it was cleaner, right? Like, they have the ability to redo it, obviously. I don't think they were running out of film by any means, but it could have just been a little tighter, a little cleaner, and it would have felt more like it was meant to be in the movie, right? Instead of this awkward stand-in.
Well, by that point in the movie, they were starting to run out of budget, so they had to make things cheaper.
Yeah.
Right.
So they were saying, I wish they'd actually used the line. At one point, they're talking about like how they're driving through the campus, like, oh my God, this is the most expensive. Oh, it's so bad. And they're like, we're going to go through the electronics department. Oh no. And then it's like an
aerial shot.
Aerial shot of
I
it.
can't even show it. Yeah.
I thought they'd like make a reference. I'm like, oh, that was cheaper than I thought it would be. Huh. Something like that I thought would have been pretty funny, but
yeah.
Oh well.
Or just something like man, that was some, where they're talking about breaking something super extravagant, but clearly they didn't because they couldn't show it. They couldn't afford to do it. Yeah. That would have been a little bit funnier. I think it was a missed opportunity with that aerial shot because they had to cut out to save on budget. I think, it could have gone better.
There could have been a joke there for sure.
I think there was a lot of those where I didn't like the direction that they took the humor, or they missed an opportunity for more humor by doing something simple that worked in other areas of the film. So that happened a lot throughout this. What did you guys think of the fact that the script is the exact same thing as the last one, and they reference this as well in the film, making fun of it? What did you think? Is that okay with you that this is the exact same movie again?
I think it's funny that it's the Nick Offerman character, the police chief, who's always the one referencing it. Like he was the one in the first movie who's just like, yeah, we did this in the 80s and we're going to do the exact thing again. And then in this one, he's the one who's like, just do the same thing again. Like, just go do it. And then even later on, once they catch the woman or catch the culprit, he's on TV being like, so we had a case exactly like this a year ago. It's the exact same case.
It's the teacher that did it.
Exactly.
I don't know. I thought that was funny. It didn't bother me that it was the same storyline setup because it did kind of like the way you were saying last week, how it like subverted expectations by making Jonah Hill's character the cool character and Channing Tatum's the dork. They kind of lean you into that, like, okay, this is going to be college. It'll be the same thing. Like all the tryhards are going to be here. I'm going to be the cool kid. You're going to be left out. And then again, Channing Tatum actually becomes the cool one and Jonah Hill's the one left out. I guess
in a slightly different way,
role reversal, even though it's the more stereotypical role reversal, because it did switch that up a little bit. It did. I'm not gonna say I felt fresh. Obviously, it didn't, but it worked for me. It worked enough for me.
Yeah, for me, I was like, it was about 3/4 of the same movie, and then after they catch the teacher, they're like, no, it can't be. There's got to be more to it, and then it kind of went its own way. I kind of wish they just kind of 100% redid the same movie. I think that would have been funnier. Just be like, you know what? We're committing 100%.
Yeah.
But instead, they put
it got a little messy, right?
Yeah. It just gets, and that I think that's they want messy, or they want to one up themselves in many ways, right? Which is fine. That's what sequels do. But they specifically said they didn't want to do that. So it was like they were countering their own goal there, right? So it just didn't land for me all the way there.
I will definitely say the third act in this is the weakest for me, where it does just get very, not necessarily messily made, but just kind of like everything's happening all at once.
Chaotic.
Chaotic. That's a much better word. Thank you. It just gets a little too chaotic for me, and the humor starts landing a little bit less. Maybe a movie and a half in, you're kind of like you're losing it a little bit. But like the first 2/3 of this movie I thought was pretty funny. And it's not to say that everything in the last third is awful. No. But it's definitely that's where it starts falling apart. And I would agree with you. I'm very glad that at the end of this they just do like 23 through 2021.
They killed it.
Jump Street, as opposed to being like maybe there'll be a third. I liked it at the beginning of the movie, but by the end I was like, no, this is the right way to go. This is calling it done is okay.
That said, there was a script for a third, and they were going to make it. But there was like production cost problems and producer issues, and the thing kind of just fell apart at the seams and never got made.
Thank God.
That's kind of surprising because this movie did very well. Like on a budget of $50 million, it made 330. So
I mean, both movies did really great, and I think that's why a third one was going to be made. And then I don't know, maybe people got too greedy with their asks for what they wanted, and it just crumpled underneath the weight of it all, which is funny because that's kind of what the second one was about.
I mentioned last week I really liked the directors Lord and Miller, but they were relatively unknown, I want to say, for 21 Jump Street. So maybe by the time 23 Jump Street came out, they had a bit more under their belts and could be asking for more, as well as like Jonah Hill was kind of always a star at this point, but Channing Tatum would have been a bit bigger at this point. So
I didn't look this up. Tell me if you know or not. I'll look it up otherwise. Did they write with Jonah in the first one?
No.
Or just direct?
They just directed.
Okay.
And actually, I'm looking at it. It doesn't even look like Jonah was a writer on the second one, only on the first.
Yeah, that's what I saw, was that he didn't write on the first, only on the first one he wrote. So I was like,
I've got Jonah Hill down as a writer for the story, but not the screenplay.
The story, because he wrote the first one, so it's based on the same story.
Okay.
That's how that would tie in, I think.
Yeah. IMDb does not have him listed as a writer on this one, and does not have either Phil Lord or Chris Miller as writers on either one of them. So,
So we were introduced to a few new characters: Maya, the girlfriend, and Zook, the boyfriend. How did you guys feel about Zook and the way that they portrayed him? Because they were both very. Like, they had these like homosexual jokes and homophobic jokes coming at you at the same time with that. Like, Channing Tatum did not get what was going on around him. And I wasn't sure that Zook understood it either until that line at the end when he's like, yeah, you're better off with him. You know, like, and so there was some funny stuff in there, but it got a little bit too... They went a little too far on some of them, and I don't know.
Long in the tooth. That's the moral of this movie, is everything is just too long.
Yeah, they just pushed them a little too far, and I didn't feel like I knew what direction they were going with it. And even at the end, I was like, I thought they were going this way, and they kind of went this way, but I'm still not even sure. And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think because they portrayed their professional partnership as a romantic relationship throughout the movie, then that paired with the football friend as that similar replacement of that relationship. So they went all out trying to make it sound like that without saying those words. It was okay. I actually preferred more where Jenko was taking his class and learned that he was using slurs and about homosexual people, and then he wanted to make better when anybody spoke it like that. That was like maybe the funniest part of the movie to me, is that because it was like actually like trying to
he's actually growing as a person.
Yeah, he's actually growing as a person. Whereas very little self-improvement happens in any of these movies at any point in time. So that was like very nice in comparison to the first movie when they were like making bad jokes that Brian and I picked up on American Beauty wise.
I would argue that Jonah Hill's character doesn't grow in either of these movies, not very much at least.
No.
Channing Tatum's character, like in the first movie, he starts hanging out with the smarter people. He starts learning a bit more. He's not smart, but he's learning. He's advancing himself. We see him take that class in this one. Like, he's at least attempting to grow. We don't see a whole lot of growth from Jonah Hill.
I agree with that.
And I feel they didn't have much character arc change for either of these characters, especially in the second movie. You're waiting for that scene when they're like, I'm sorry, I love you, I forgive you, whatever, and they kind of make amends. But in this one, they're just kind of like, yeah, we got to do this together. And so they get dressed up in costume together and then try and squeeze out the door at the same time. And they don't really finish it at all, except later they do have the moment where he's like, we got to go on our own. You got to do your thing and I got to go my way. And that's supposed to be like the big arc that they go through, the big changing moment. It just didn't feel like they grew very much. It just felt like they were accepting the breakup. That's all,
There was one line in this, I'm going to get it wrong. But he's talking about how like, oh man, I really like Zook because he can just fly with me. And instead of going I want to fly away, he says something to him like, I wish you could fly with me too. Now, obviously, they pay that off in a poor way at the very end. But I got the wording a little bit wrong there. But like the sentiment there is actually kind of beautiful in a weird way. Like, I don't want to leave you behind, but this is who I am. And I just wish you could be there.
Go with me. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a lot of relationship stuff in this movie. I did think I just want to be in an open relationship an open investigation.
Yeah.
It was again, it went on too long, but like a third of that would have been very funny.
Agreed. I agree. I agree that there's potential in this one that I didn't feel the same way about in the first one, but they kind of just ruined it by oversaturating. There's no balance for me in these movies. I can't understand it.
To go back to your original question, though, about whether we liked Maya and Zook,
Right.
the first time I watched this, I didn't know who Wyatt Russell was. Like, obviously, I knew he was Kurt Russell's son, but that was literally it. I'd never seen him in anything that I'm aware of. Now he's in the MCU, which of the three of us, I am still a big fan. So having seen him as the Captain America replacement and then falling down and kind of trying to pick himself back up in Thunderbolts and then seeing him as this college jock kind of gave me a bit of a better appreciation for his range as an actor. Not to say that he was amazing in this by any stretch, but instead of just seeing him as that, I was able to see him for what other things he can do as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like his character. Well, no, I liked him on screen. His character was very one note and silly, but so be it. Maya didn't have a ton to do, but
yeah,
she didn't disappoint in what she did do. Oh my god! You know what? Okay, the comedic torture that you're talking about and the over-the-top awkward scenes, the yelling poetry. That's not what it's called.
The poetry slam
poetry. Oh my god! Like cringing in my seat the entire time.
Yeah, that was rough to watch.
Just make it end. Just make it end. Just like I know that this has to happen for the plot, but just please, anything else happen right now. And it just kept going.
Yeah, Wyatt Russell is in the show Monarch, and he plays a young Kurt Russell, and I think he does a fantastic job. I appreciate him, having seen him in a variety of things, Marvel stuff too, this and Monarch, and several other places too. I have a lot of appreciation for him as an actor. He was given absolutely no range whatsoever. He was there to mimic Jenko, and that was it. And they made you believe that maybe he was the dealer or the supplier or something along the way, and it doesn't go anywhere, of course. And his character never went anywhere, and there was nothing for him to do. So I think they put a fantastic actor into a very pigeonholed role right there.
But he was just supposed to be comedic, and I thought he did okay.
I thought he did okay for what they wanted to do. I just think that Wyatt Russell has the ability to do so much more than what he did in this movie.
I would say that's true of almost all of the cast.
It's true.
If you like what we do and you want to help support us, consider joining our Patreon. There's a link down below. Thank you very much to our producers, as well as our executive producer, Dino, and of course, our head writers, Elder Jam990, Miss Hillary, and Real Bubba Hotep. This week for the Patreon pick, we're going to be watching A Star is Born in the Watch Party on Discord and then reviewing that next Thursday. So if you want to join us for either of those, make sure you head over to Patreon and join at the producer level or above. We'd love to have you there.
Sunday. I just lost my train of thought.
Sunday?
Those watch parties air every Sunday night at 7 Central, 8 on the East Coast, if that's where you want to check them out. I'm almost always there every week, and we are trying to get more movies into the watch party system so that you get your value out of helping to support us and the Patreon. So I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. I think it had missed opportunities. I think it leaned into the humor that I don't appreciate. That's not to say that they weren't funny. They had lots of funny moments in this, but there were a lot more, for me, painful moments to watch that made this movie something I just didn't want to see. That middle stretch for me was the worst. I think the low point was probably the prison scene where it was incredibly awkward, disgusting humor that did not make me laugh, and I just wanted to turn it off, but I couldn't. So I did finish the movie. I was actually glad that I did finish the movie because I do think that this rounds out as a decent enough comedic sequel. I just don't think that maybe comedies should have sequels, honestly. I think that parts of this movie should have been superimposed onto number one, and that would have been a much better comedy, and it could have ended right there, and I would have been super happy with that. But instead, we got 22 Jump Street, where a lot of the jokes felt old, and a lot of the humor was just not my taste. So if you liked the first one, and you like awkward humor, and you like kind of raunchy humor, then I would say go check this out. If those things don't sound amazing to you, then definitely pass on this sequel. I give this one a 51 for me. It is decently enough produced, but just not quality enough for me to really push it to anybody.
Technically pass! Yeah, I'll take it.
That's why I gave it a 51, just on that side of it passes. I mean, it's a real movie, and they really made it the best that they maybe could. I don't know. Just
This is one of the movies of 2014.
They really made it.
It's a movie.
It's a real movie, and they real made it. Oh, wow. Okay. So last week I came in pretty high on 21 Jump Street, mostly because it was a comedy and it made me laugh, which is exactly what I'm looking for in that category. This movie, while I would agree with Brian, it does have some misses, and there are some very awkward moments in this movie that I wish they did skip or at least shorten. There's still a lot in this movie that makes me legitimately laugh out loud, which I'm not going to say is rare, but is still a great feeling when it happens. So I can't give it too low of a score. The chemistry between the two lead characters, I still really enjoy. Ice Cube, I think, is really funny as a comedian. Could it be better? Absolutely. It can always be better. But I laughed quite a bit. So I can't give it too low of a score. For me, this one comes in at a 71. It is down from the first one, but it's not that far down. As far as comedy sequels go, I think it keeps a lot of the magic.
Yeah, what can I say? Again, not my bag, not my dice. I don't know what I'm saying. It's okay, I guess. I think it did things better than the first one in some areas and worse than the first one in other areas. This, again, was like touted as like a very good sequel as far as comedy movies go, and got very good ratings overall. I had a hard time finding people who disliked this movie. So again, I think it's just me. But yeah, overall, I didn't want to watch it. I watched it anyway because you forced me to. And there was parts that I thought were okay. Overall, it got a 44 out of 100, which, if you're keeping count, is the exact same score I gave the last movie, because it's good, better in some, worse in others, balances out to the same trash movie. It is the same movie. It's trash.
And with that, we have 21 Jump Street coming in with a final total of 75, 60, and 44 for a grand total of 60, putting it tied with Christmas Chronicles, just below Gremlins and Beverly Hills Cop. What do you guys think about this rating? For me, again, obviously with my scores, this is pretty low for me. I enjoyed these comedies more than I enjoy the comedy of Beverly Hills Cop or Gremlins. But for you guys, where does this land? Does this feel right?
If I were to look at 21 Jump Street as an action comedy, I think Beverly Hills Cop is a better franchise.
Fair enough.
If it's pure comedy you're going for, maybe it would be reversed.
Okay, I can accept that.
I think comparing it to Beverly Hills Cop is adequate. I think Beverly Hills Cop is a slight notch above. And comparing it to Gremlins, I really am not a big fan of the sequel of Gremlins. I like the first movie, and the sequel just, I don't know, kind of rubs me the wrong way, I guess. Whereas 21 Jump Street was a little closer to even from 1 to 2, even though my score went down a bit. Like, it went down because they leaned into a type of comedy that isn't for me. But as the structure of the movie is very similar to its predecessor, it's more of an even across the board. If you'd like the first one, you'll probably like the second one. Whereas Gremlins felt like it was two different movies. And so I'm not sure if I think it should be above Gremlins or not.
Yeah.
That's fair.
With
I
the
actually just really quickly looked. Your scores for Gremlins and your score for Jonah Hill Jump Street are almost identical, with the first one being significantly higher, the second one being much lower.
Right.
So that's kind of funny.
And averaging to 60.
Exactly.
That's funny. I also think it's interesting when we come. I'm looking forward to, again, there's not a lot of sequels or franchises of comedies, but
Agreed.
I want to see one that gets up there on the list, because if we look at our list, comedies all fall pretty low on that list, which is
well, and again, you kind of just said this, but like if it was just single movies we're looking at, I'm sure we could find some comedies that were significantly higher.
Gold,
but
sure.
Most of the good ones don't have sequels. You mentioned Spaceballs a little while ago. Of course, that sequel's coming out, I think, later this year, early next year.
Next year, I think, yeah.
Which could be very interesting to do when it does come out. But yeah, there's not a ton of comedy franchises that stay at a good level. But
exactly.
I would love to be proven wrong. If any of you have any comments out there, leave them down below. I'd love to know what comedy franchises you think actually do hold up.
I want to see a very smart film that makes me feel a wide range of emotions, but also is labeled a comedy and has comedy throughout, but it's very smart comedy with a true, real story and a real character arcs and real plot to it. Something I can really sink my teeth into and laugh. I want to laugh and cry at a great comedy. I think if we see something like that, that gets high up on the list. But that type of movie never has a sequel.
Exactly what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our rating of 22 Jump Street. What do you guys think? Were we too harsh on this one? Too lenient? I'd love to know what you have to say. We record this live over twitch.tv/The Mongoolie Show, so you can head over there and hit the follow button if you want to hang out with us live. Or if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button as well as subscribe so that we see you in the next one.